This is the It's Time to Refresh podcast with Brad Refresh, the podcast about life, music, traveling, shit, literal shit that is, and weird and wacky stories with Brad, and a range of guests from the planet Earth. Feel free to share the pod with your pals, your mom, your neighbor's dog, or even your shrink. It's all fun. You can follow our Facebook group called It's Time to Refresh Community, or It's Time to Refresh on Instagram. Write into the pod, ask questions, and share your stories. Enjoy the pod.
Hey kid, what time is that?
It's time to refresh.
You all right? How we doing? Just want to take 2 minutes of your time before we start this week's podcast to tell you about our Patreon. Patreon is a tool that we're using to help the podcast grow, give you better content, and, well, as I said, just let the podcast grow. So we've got 3 tiers. The first tier, there's only 20 of these spaces available, and it's £1 for life, and that's for It's Time to Refresh Originals. So if you've tuned in from day one and you want to join the cause, you can sign up for £1. Just follow the link in the description. We've got the standard Patreon, which you get access to bonus episodes, some exclusive content, Patreon specials, which we'll be recording, and early access to all future episodes. So you'll be getting them on a Tuesday instead of a Friday, which I think is fucking amazing for £3. That's less than a coffee. And then we've got our legend status VIP Patreons, which is £10. And that gets you tickets to all my gigs, and it will get you free entry to any It's Time to Refresh associated events, gigs in the future. So that's a little hint of what's coming up in the future. If you do like the podcast, then please share it with your mates. We are trying to grow this little thing we've got going. We've got some amazing guests coming up in the future as well, and we want this to go bigger and better. So sign up at Patreon at patreon.com/It's Time to Refresh. Thank you. Enjoy the episode. Right, back once again for another episode of the It's Time to Refresh podcast. This is episode 29. On this one, we've got Andy Farrell, MC Efeeze, Sanctuary Main Man, Top Gun, cricketer, sort of. Some would say. There's a phone going off. Some would say. You can't touch me, sort of thing. That's a big thing of yours, isn't it?
A little bit.
So yeah, on this episode we're going to sort of carry on from Finch's podcast, because obviously he told the story on there. You don't hear the same stuff over again. So if you want to check that out, you can go and check it out now. That was MC's Unplugged, and I think it was the 3rd episode.
First episode.
Was it the first one?
Yeah.
Sorry, the first episode. And basically, that tells a story from when he started out, right up through for everything, wasn't it? Really, right up until 2018, just before the first Songfest in Workington. So we're just going to carry it on from there. So as I say, I'll just leave the link to the first one in the description, and we'll just go from there. So how are we doing? All right.
All right, yeah.
I know it's a sort of a convoluted way to advertise it, but it's just, as you say, if people want to listen to your earlier story, then you can sort of get into it like that. So, as I say, I've just come there and the clocks went back last night and stuff, and yeah, had an event on, it sort of knocked you a bit sideways.
Don't know where I'm up to yet. I just knew you were coming at 1 o'clock and I had to get the house clean for 1 o'clock.
Yeah. So, we'll sort of we'll just start from there if you want, and then we'll go forward. So, obviously some stuff you might not remember now because there's been so much happened since, but 2018 Songfest, class success, I thought.
Yeah,
brilliant.
Really good.
So
it's a good story and a bit of a sad story because, as you know, the first one was a huge success.
Yeah.
And there was big things ahead, so I was looking forward to the following year, which put plans in place, made the lineup big because we expected it to grow. Sadly lost my partner in it, so I was doing it myself, and not being local, it was hard work.
Yeah.
I had a bit of a conflict with another promoter in the area who basically took a lot of the local talent away.
Yeah.
and then we had problems with licensing, which we couldn't open any of the indoor buildings. And
Right.
just one thing after another. Then the rain came, and then before that, someone decided to put a festival on the week before
Oh,
in the
fantastic.
same area.
Great.
So obviously there's not been any dance festivals in West Cumbria ever.
Ever, no.
And then as soon as one comes along, there's two in the space of a week, so that didn't help. And on the day, it was absolutely pissing it down. So,
Yeah.
I mean, it was still good. Everyone who went will say it was good, but
Yeah.
it wasn't as good as the first
first
one,
one.
and the growth wasn't happening. So, sadly, that was the last one. I did plan to do it the year after, but then COVID happened. So,
Right. So going back to the 2018 one, that first one, that was I think I've went over it on a couple of podcasts because there was a few DJs who've been on the podcast so we sort of touched on it, but it was like the perfect marrying of a day. Like the we got the right weather, and it was like everyone seemed to be up for it. As you say, 'cause it was the first time we'd done something like this. It like there was no dance festival before this in Cumbria, like, so it was fresh. Everyone was excited for it, turning up, weren't sure what to expect when they got there, and it was like a top day. Like the turnout was brilliant, weather was good, and like I like what he did with the after parties where he spread it over 3 venues, so it helped the sort of like local town as well, because you did 32 Soup, and did you do somewhere else as well?
just the two, I think.
That was at the 2, right? I can pop in between the 2, that's all. So then obviously you've got your sanctuary stuff that's going on in between, so is there anything you want to go into from there, sort of after the festival? Like, what was your mindset after the good turnout? Like, let's do this again, let's go bigger. And
Well, yeah, I just thought there was lots of room to grow. There was nothing but good feedback, so there was no reason in my mind that it wouldn't be bigger. So I thought I could put more money into it.
yeah,
And then when I was doing it by myself, it was more money to lay out, so it was a bit of a tense time, and it just, I don't know, it just didn't really work the same. It lost its bit of spark.
yeah,
I think it was losing the local support, because I mean on the first one we had small house tent
yeah,
and all these tech house heads who were through and through tech, all raving to bounce,
yeah,
and just start bringing other crowds in, and it was a good day. So losing a lot of the locals, that had an effect on it. But the thing is, I don't know the locals. There's
Yeah.
only a handful of people I know from West Cumbria.
yeah,
I mean, there's a lot of older ones who used to go to like Fusion back in the day, and the older DJs, but the younger lot, the people who play house music and stuff like that, I don't know them. So Chris, who was my partner in the first one, he was the connection between the locals, so it was hard doing it by myself.
yeah, I can
I mean,
understand.
there's no hard feelings with me and Chris about it. He did it for the right reasons. It's one of them things that happened.
I suppose so, but
I was making plans for 2020, but COVID came. I was talking to the venue, and various people had left who I was in contact with. I couldn't even tell you who manages it now or who's there,
Right.
because there's that many people left.
Right.
So to go back there would be a very hard job.
Would you go back to do something in West Cumbria?
It'd have to be with the right people, because it's like I say, it's an hard job on my own, not being local, but never say never.
Never
I know
say
there's
never.
a lot of people who want it.
Yeah, a lot of the audience who watch this is sort of Cumbria based, obviously. So that's why I asked, just in case there was something there, or never, as you say, never say never. Could have been a scoop there, like.
Well,
but
I put a status on the Sanctuary page last week, Sancfest 2023.
yeah,
All these Cumbrians are like, yeah, we can't wait, we're going. It's not even in Cumbria. Can't say anything else.
yeah, all right. Well, it goes to show though that people like there was it did have its own following. Obviously, without the sort of house heads and that there, you've always had, like, I found that like Sanctuary's always had a really strong following in Cumbria. Like, I've found now, playing down in Blackpool and Flamingos or what have you, if I go down, there's always like a big following of Whitehaven, Workington people who come to all of them. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's got like a a part of Sanctuary almost. You know what I mean?
Yeah, we've had some good crowds over the years, from West and Carlisle. But I think both areas are quite similar. The times change really quickly.
Yeah.
So like when we started at 32 in, I think it was 2017 maybe.
Yeah.
It was packed out capacity for the first 3, and then all of a sudden it just dropped. And the one after the festival, which I thought would have a massive knock-on effect, it was dead. And it was dead ever since, and then we don't do it anymore.
Right.
It's like when Soup opened, that was packed, and then that struggled after, say, a year. So it's like they just change what they like, or get bored of it really quickly.
Yeah, I find that with West Cumbria all the time.
I mean, don't get me wrong, it'll come back.
Yeah.
I know for a fact it'll come back because the amount of times I've been up there. First started at Fusion in 2004, and then you'd have 2 years there with Dobby, and then a year off because it was dead, and then go back for a couple of years and back to Carlisle, and you seem to swap areas. At the moment, it's on a low.
Yeah.
Non-existent. But it'll be back.
Yeah.
I mean, I spoke to Marco the other week following your event, see if he was interested in getting us back in, and he said we're just doing what we're doing at the moment, but if it changes, give us a shout.
As I say, I've found that I always felt like personally attacked when I was running events in the area, because one patch of say 6 months would have like 2 events on and it'd be absolutely amazing, and then the second it's just like what have I done wrong? But it's maybe not what you've done wrong, it's just that the trends of
the area.
Yeah, it is a very strange area to sort of keep interested. But I put that event on 3 weeks ago, and it was insane, like how many of the younger generation come, and it's like they've came because there was like 2 sorts of the crowd. There was like your sort of regulars and stuff, but then there's people who come because they're genuinely interested, and the younger than I thought the following for the style of music is. Do you know what I mean? Like they were like 17, 18, and it's like my mum and dad used to listen to sort of this, and this is what we're about, and I'm like, it's quite.
I have a lot of people coming up to me saying, "Oh, my mum and dad used to listen to you."
It's quite, yeah, it's quite. I don't know. 'Cause obviously, I've been around as long as you have, but it's like I don't know whether they've had kids young or something like that, and it's just I'm just sort of catching that bit now. It's like, well, I'm getting a bit older now. Like I felt old being in the club.
When it gets to my grandparents, that's when I'm going to call it.
Yeah. So sort of. What was going on with Sanctuary outside of Cumbria after 2018?
Right, the end of Finch's podcast, I was saying we've got a new club, and I said I can't say anything because I didn't want to burn bridges with the club we were at the time, which was Club Domain.
Yeah.
So the owner of Club Domain, he's a friend of mine. I still speak to him now, Peter Bolden.
Yeah.
We moved to HQ, Home and HQ. Which was unbelievable club. It was like a freshly built, brand new multi-million-pound club. So we went in 2019, and they sold it at the end of the year.
Right.
So we had less than a year there, and then it was time to move on again. And the only other club in Blackpool that was running was Flamingo. Now Flamingo is a top club. It's just really big.
Yeah.
So that's the only fault I can give it. And if you put 500 or 600 people in many clubs will look really busy. And it just looks empty. So we're fighting that all the time. Fighting the bad feedback though it was dead in there. When in fact it was busier than a lot of places.
Yeah. I found it's I think it's I love Flamingo, by the way. I think the way the main room set out, I think it's class. But I think it's just the layout's awkward. Do you know? So you go in, and then there's like always where the door is, where they're collecting the tickets on the door. There's always like people congregating there, and then you go up, and then there's the side room, and then obviously that looks good when it's busy, and then you go up the stairs again, and then you got the main room. So throughout them 3 sort of areas, people are spread out. So you might have, like you say, 500-600 people in, but because it's so spread out, I think that's what's.
Well, as you know, I was there last night.
Yeah.
And I don't know if I'm going to say too much here, but there's a massive refurb going on at the beginning of next year, and a lot of these problems should be dealt with.
That's good.
Can't say anymore.
No, but it's a top club though. Like you go in and you see the layout of the main room. I think that's really good. Like, where it's got the levels going back, and then you've got like the main pit of where you see all like everyone who's up for it. Do you know, with the light floor, and it's got a good tech support on that as well. I found that when I was playing there, that they're always there to help you. The
best thing about the club is that it's owned or run by a guy who's got a production sound and light company.
Yeah.
So everything's always going to be top there.
Yeah.
He's only had it since the end of lockdown. So when we first went to Flamingo, it was the previous owners.
Yeah.
And then he's took it on. So he's only had it just over 12 months. So now that he's got his sort of a year's business, he can predict what's going to go on and what they can invest and things like that. So that's why there's going to be big changes next year. Yeah, so we've got good relations with him. So should be some good things in the future. Yeah.
So when we left the domain and we moved over to the home in HQ, I'd never been there before, and I did the last set in domain. You know, I dropped you off afterwards, if you remember. So that's my badge of honour. Nah. But when you went over to that home in HQ, I was like, oh, do you really want to like move? I thought domain was really good, and then when I went in the home in HQ, I thought, oh right, I understand why you've moved, because I loved that club, the way it's laid out, and I thought the sound system was class. Like everyone, all the other DJs who were on, I think I got booked for the Bounce Land event you did, and I remember like talking to the DJs and that, and I was just like, this was a good sort of setup.
Remember that name, Bounce Land.
But as I say, like I was impressed with it. I thought, oh, is he gonna downgrade away from domain? Don't get me wrong, it's a great club, but then when I seen the layout of that, I thought, oh, I can see why.
Well, Home and HQ approached me a lot earlier than we went there, but business wise, domain would do better.
Yeah.
For the events we did in summer, like the day and night Sankfest things that we started there.
Yeah.
And Home and HQ was a limited capacity, one main room, and there was another room we could use, but you had to go outside and go back in, and it was a bit awkward. So we'd run it as a one room club. I think it's 400 capacity, although they'll let a lot more in.
Yeah.
Because they get a lot of in and out. So there's still money to be made, but business wise, it was better at Domain. But they had to decide the right time to leave.
Yeah. And
watching that sort of dwindle down as well, because when Domain was running, when we was there, we were the only people doing stuff.
Yeah.
And they were doing £10 in free drinks, getting a bit ripped off, or getting heartburn, or being sick or whatever for the drinks. You know, they were just sort of the club had been running to the ground by a previous promoter.
Yeah.
So we was the only one putting events in, and it was either short or doing next to nothing. So not having the local sport, and because if you've not got people from the town you're in, you're always going to struggle, because you can't trust people from all around the north of England to travel to Blackpool, because you've got to have a driver. No one wants to drive.
Yeah.
You've got to get hotels, and it all adds up. So Blackpool's always hard work. It's just I'm too stubborn to leave.
I think you've got like Sanctuary's associated massively with Blackpool, or like I think it always has been since like even earlier days. Like
I've been there 18 years now.
Well, that's what I mean. Like I imagine if you asked a lot of the locals who are not necessarily interested in the music and stuff, if they said the word Sanctuary, like that's that club event. Similar to Zone as well. If you mention the name Zone in Blackpool, it's like that's that club event. It's just something that's sort of ingrained in that area. Do you know what I mean? Like, I think you built a big brand awareness there. Like you could like the amount of times, like I know this is sort of off subject, but like my sisters sent me a picture of like, oh, there's your name on a flyer, whatever, and it's like because the old flyers are in Blackpool, like on like A3 sheets or whatever. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? So it's like people recognise the logo. Do you know what I mean? That's my point. Anyways, like it's very recognisable in Blackpool. I think you've always had a good thing with Wigan as well. I think anyone can tell you that, because it's sort of.
We started in Wigan, so it's always, that's where the roots are. and I used to live quite near since I moved here. I only moved here last year.
Yeah.
So I mean, we're going to be doing stuff at Pure next year. We've got a few dates booked in. Trying to space everything out a bit more. But I've just bought a new diary for next year. And just open it for I'm going to do that. No, calm down. Need to be chilling out a bit now. But never happens.
I've just a question. Like, this is something from me. I just want to ask that. How do you find it having to run events? Because obviously, for people who don't know, you do run sort of your sanctuary stuff, but then you do the cricketer reunion, and you've always got like something going on. Like, how do you find that balance? Because I've run singular events before, and it's just stressful. Like, I'm just asking you, how do you find it?
Well, it's definitely stressful.
Yeah.
But I think I thrive off it, because if I've not got anything to do,
do you
I'm
find
lost in
like
my head.
chasing it, like sort of thing, like?
Well, they're always. I try and space things out sensibly.
Yeah.
So I wouldn't have, say, a back-to-back weekend sanctuary in local towns.
Yeah.
But I wouldn't see the problem of having sort of a sanctuary in Blackpool 1 week, cricketer in Wigan the week after.
2 different crowds. Like.
And with the online advertising, you're targeting different people for your audience and selection and whatever. So it can be done. Just make sure you've got enough time to focus on it, and that's what I do struggle with. Like, as you know, I'm always going on about not having time, and you can't find time all the time unless you're staying up all night and setting all your posts and everything. But
I know what you mean. Like, the amount of times where I've talked to, say, like Charlotte or Fid or someone like that, and the running joke is it's like 5 working days to get you back from you, because there's just that much going on, and it's understandable. Like, I've got a level of frustration and stress of like, I need this event to go well, but then you've got like 3. You've always got like, say, 3 different events sort of in the future, and I can't imagine the stress behind it. Do you know what I mean? Like, the excitement is definitely there, because I get like that thrill of it, but like, just as I say, the stress behind running an event is absolutely mental. So, as I say, I think anyone would be buzzing if they could run 3 successful events within, say, the space of like.
Yeah, it's definitely stressful. I need to try and work on it a bit.
Yeah, but so yeah, you got the home in HQ, and you're running the events there. So then you moved over beginning of 2019 to Flamingo. How did you find the transition when you went from one to the other?
It was New Year's Eve when we went to Flamingo,
Right.
and we did a quite successful night. So we had obviously Sanctuary, and we had Zone in the other room.
Right.
So that was New Year's Eve 2019, and then lockdown was in March. We had one after that, I think in February, like at the kick-off party.
Yeah.
Wasn't great. Blackpool isn't great out of season, so and also everyone thought the club had shut down. They'd announced that it was shut, but someone took it over and didn't advertise it, so it wasn't great. It was all right, and then I think that was February. Then it shut in March for COVID, so that's led us up to last year.
Did you find yourself just? I suppose it's a wind down. But when COVID hit, because you're not promoting, did you just find it like a nice break, or were you itching to sort of get back into it? How was COVID?
COVID was tough for me.
Yeah.
For many reasons, and I've worked in clubs now. Next year, 25 years.
Yeah.
And the only other time that I'd had a break was when I was in hospital after my car accident.
Right.
And I was out for 4 months then. So this was the longest I've ever not worked in clubs. I did a few things sanctuary related. We did the studio sessions, did a few mixes. I attempted a few live streams, but it wasn't for me.
Yeah.
But I don't know, the break was good. The break was really good for bonding with the family.
Yeah.
But it was also bad in a way. Not bad in the such of the word, but getting back into work, the kids have me all the time, and then suddenly I'm back out at the weekend. That was tough because not just for them but for me. I'm used to being with them all the time. But as well at the beginning when schools were shut and nurseries were shut, me and my missus Robin, we had to work around each other to be at home with the kids. So say I'd work 6-2, she'd start 2:30. We didn't see each other. We sort of went into lockdown in a bit of a bad place anyway. So we had a rough time
personally.
So I was more focused on that really than sanctuary and clubs. It was sort of the last of my worries. It was the family and where we were going and what have you, which it was really hard. But we got through it and got in a better place than we've ever been. And it all started coming together. I just said, do you want to move house?
Randomly.
So I was like, right, let's get this decorated, that decorated, put the house up for sale. I'd been there for 12 years. First house I'd ever bought. I didn't want to move. I told myself I never want to move away from where I am now. This is where I want to be. But Robin's from Blackpool. We did say if we ever moved, we'd go sort of halfway.
Not a bad place to be.
But my mum lives quite near to it, and she's like our main childcare. And this house came on the market, and it was a really good price. And she just said, "I want that house. We need to get that house." It was like pull everything together, savings. What can we do? And put an offer in. We come to view it on Saturday morning. Put an offer in. I think in the house at the time, or I might have rang him half an hour later. She said, "I want this house. We have to have this house. This is our house." They rejected the offer. So this was like, right, because we had some savings and I'd made a bit of money on my old house. But I wanted a bit more money to spend on the house, or I always like to have some savings just in case something happens. So we ended up putting everything in, because you get 2 offers when you buy a house. So your final offer, and it was like, oh, I can't do it. And there's everything right here. We'll give you this much, and they accepted it. And then the real nightmare started because it took so long to move. It took us like 9 months to move. It wasn't that bad because we were in lockdown anyway. But someone was buying our house.
So they got a chain.
And they was about to lose their mortgage. We ended up being homeless. Not homeless like on the street, but moved into my mum's. Because if they hadn't moved in our house on a certain day, they would have lost that. Then we would have had to resell. Then we would have lost this because they wanted to move out straight away. Some weird breakdown of domestic breakdown. I can't get into it. It's not really fair of me to say, but that's why we got a good offer. They had to get out as quick as possible. So it was the most stressful time I've ever been through, moving house. And it's supposed to be a happy time. But 3 weeks at my mum's, 5 of us in a 2-bed terrace. It was fun.
But
we finally got in, and then that was it. We're happy and we're here now. And I mean, it's like 18 months later we started making our own. Got big plans that obviously I need time for. I never got any time. So that's another thing I need to free up time to do this. And
the thing is though, like I don't want to say it is because it's quite a negative thing, but like COVID was sort of like a blessing in disguise for you, because imagine having to run the events as well as do the house move and then live at your mum's for 5 weeks and all that. It would just do you know what I mean? Actually,
when the first week after lockdown was the end of July, on the 23rd of July, and we moved at the end of August, and I think I had 2 weekends off after that July up to Christmas. It was so busy. And because we'd had this rough time, I said, I promise, after lockdown I'm going to hammer it for a bit, and after Christmas I'll make sure we've got a lot of time together. Time with the family and whatever. And I did, I've stuck to it. I've had 1 or 2 weekends off a month. Like to have more, but
Yeah.
It's just part of my life, isn't it?
Yeah, it is.
Business, got to be
Yeah,
done.
it's become a vocation for you.
So, yeah, I wouldn't have been able to do it with the clubs going on.
Yeah. So during sort of lockdown and stuff like that, I thought you got on something pretty good. I don't know if it was your idea or someone approached you with it or what, but doing them studio live streams, like everyone was doing the live streams, but you did like a branded one where you did like proper videos, and do you know what I mean? And I thought that was only good for whenever the clubs open back up. You built like a little excitement and buzz when there was no buzz.
It was good. It didn't really go to plan. The first one I wanted to do a charity thing.
Yeah.
A charity live stream.
Yeah.
And the studio we were doing it at, what happened now? I think they lost their
the
internet.
Wi-Fi, was it
Yeah, they
something?
lost their internet the week before. So I had to cancel it. The donations were still in. We did a few hundred £100 for Manchester Children's Hospital, but it just got cancelled, and I wanted to postpone it, and then he said, now it's been flooded and this has happened, that has happened, so we just had to forget that studio. And then MC Roach had just opened one in Bolton, but it wasn't really set out for a live stream sort of thing. So I had the idea of doing a weekly show. They were pre-recorded. We tried to kid people that it was live, but it wasn't live, which was good because it wasn't good because they were always late. So it was supposed to be every Friday at a certain time. He'd send me the video of Friday night, midnight, so it went out on Saturday morning. So we couldn't pull it off as live anyway. But I spoke to you about YouTube because the Sanctuary YouTube channel had about 100 subscribers. And I wanted to build it up, and it's took since then till now to finally get to the 1,000 mark. So when you can start monetising, so that's another thing. I mean, Bon Lee's been helping me a lot getting the old cricket stuff on, because there's some lad who's got put every cricketer volume on, and they've got thousands and thousands of views. I mean, I know you can't monetise on it, but they're all going to his channel, and he's got thousands of subscribers, just this random guy who's putting my CDs on. So I thought, well, I'll tell you what, we'll put them on. We'll build up the subscribers, build up that, and then next year now we're in the position to start putting original stuff on. Like MC videos, and I mean some tracks that I've got that are original, can start streaming them, and a bit of extra income from there.
But like sort of behind the curtain thing here, like I struggled in like when I was getting this off the ground. I was like, how are people getting these so many views and so much subscribers and stuff like that? And it's like the best way I've found doing to get things happening quickly is just you've got to just go throw money at it, like paid ads on Facebook, Instagram, and Google ads as well. Like I went. Like you can go back over the videos now on the YouTube channel, and like I had, say, Rob Kane on for an episode, and he'd done alright for the time. He'd done, I don't know, like 500 to 1,000 views, something like that, roughly. And then as soon as I've started throwing money at it, on ads, it's just shot right up. Subscribers have gone like really good. Like I was struggling to get like 10 subscribers a week when I was just doing it. And I was just like sending it out on like socials and stuff. But like, as I said, there's definitely like a thing behind YouTube where it's just all about cash and it's money driven. And you see all these like people, all these big channels with 1,000 subscribers. And if you weren't in YouTube early, like the early days of it, where they didn't rely on sort of money marketing and shit like that, then yeah, you sort of missed out.
Well, Sopranos have got thousands on theirs, and they've been doing. Cheese has been putting stuff on for years now. I'm really late to the party with YouTube. But if you think about like Fincher, how big Finch is as an artist, people used to listen to MC Fincher tunes on phones on the back of buses years and years ago, from back in when he just started, when they were like when he was 16. And people label tunes as an MC Fincher tune. So all the kids who were listening to these at the time, when they've come older, Fincher's been like this YouTube superstar, and it does nothing but good for him in the future. Same as Sopranos, which it is a good promotion tool.
Yeah.
Which, because I'm so old school and I'm hard copy flyers all the way.
Yeah.
I've been late to the social media stuff, and it took me a while to get to terms with it, but I'm finally there. I'm trying anyway.
Yeah, I've found though, like as you say, like you see like these. I'd probably if you YouTube your MC Efeeze thing, the top results will have millions of views just because somebody's uploaded a clip of something. Like I can almost guarantee. I haven't done it, but I can guarantee it will have. Like with Finch's, I think he put up Ozone Bounce. It's like someone put that up years ago and it's had something like 3 million views. It's like
it's MC Finchy.
Yeah, exactly.
Ozone Bounce.
But like if any of us would have been sort of switched on earlier on with YouTube, I think that our channel would have had the 3,000 views or 3 million views, whatever it is. And I just think kids of today, just that's what it is, isn't it? Like this next generation coming up now is like the YouTube generation.
People keep telling me about TikTok.
Yeah, are you on it?
No. When it started getting a craze, Robin was on it, and I could hear in the background all these annoying songs, and
it's always the same ones as well, isn't it?
Yeah, so that's put me off it. But people keep telling me now, you need to get on TikTok. Do you know what? In about 3 years' time, right? Do you know what? I'm going to get on TikTok.
Should do it now. Honestly, people think it's dying down, but it's not. I'm on it. I don't really promote the channel, so it hasn't got many views. I just use it for like personal use. But I see a lot of people on there, like within our scene, who are getting really big numbers on these 30-second clips, and it's like it's mental. Like
for music, getting your music on, you could have like the latest trend, crazy video with your music on the background that could be all around the world.
Yeah, but it's easier said than done, isn't it? Like, you know what I mean?
It could happen.
Yeah. So, sort of coming out of lockdown, you did sort of the kick-off party for Sanctuary again, didn't you? In Flamingo.
Yeah, I'll be honest, it wasn't great.
Yeah.
It was a rescheduled date.
Yeah.
And I feel a bit bad about it because it's something that I wouldn't want to do to myself, but I couldn't get any dates that didn't clash on a sort of a weekend. And we clashed with Let's Have It.
Right.
Which obviously Ricky and Keogh are friends of mine. And it wasn't sort of there was no bad feeling intended. It's just I couldn't get a date, and I knew they were going to sell out at Pure. Whatever we did wouldn't affect them. I'd never take a Friday, but we took a Friday, and I just thought to myself, I said, right, the first weekend out in Blackpool, the first night is going to be busy, and everyone will come to Flamingo later. Which they didn't. It was all right. It did all right, but it wasn't amazing.
Mm-hmm.
But if someone put an event the night before mine, I'd be pissed off about it, and I wouldn't want to clash with people. And it's a thing that's going on at the minute. And like, been running Sanctuary for nearly 21 years now, and you can't get away from it. As bad as it is, I mean, back in the day, when Sanctuary was at DNA, Frequency was in Bolton on the same night, and we both used to sell out. And Pier was still on, so you'd have 3 on a Friday night, and you'd have Maxims on a Saturday.
Yeah.
So you've got 4 there in a weekend, all successful. So, although that's always in the back of your mind when you're thinking it can't go that bad, it's not the same day and age.
It's not, no.
It's a lot different, and if you're not working together, it's going to be problems. A lot of us are trying to work around it, but
it's hard, isn't it? Yeah. I think people in the scene don't realise that our scene, I don't know an exact number, but we all share the same 5,000, 10,000 people who just, they won't be out every weekend, that's why I'm saying you won't get 10,000 people in a club, but what I'm saying is that there's that core audience who will travel to Blackpool, who will travel to Wigan, who will, do you know what I mean, for an event, and people don't realise that we're all sharing them in today's day and age. It's not as if you can run one in Blackpool, one in Wigan, and they're both going to be booming. There's going to be like crossover somewhere at some point. That's just my opinion. Like,
Yeah, of
but
course.
it's because it's the same faces when you go. Like you go and it's the same people you've seen in another town 2 weeks before. That's what I've found, anyways. But yeah, it's a different day and age, like you say. So what was it after that then? So obviously done the first weekend back. I think everyone kept rescheduling dates because it was like because the government were running saying we're gonna open at this date, and it's like, oh no, we're not gonna, just going to another tier and stuff like that. It was all bullshit, but everyone wanted that first weekend, didn't they? I think that's what the initial concept was.
But no one knew which the first weekend was going to be. That was the problem.
Yeah. So
the Let's Have It event that was the first weekend at Pure.
Yeah.
That wasn't a rescheduled date. That was their original date.
And that's down to luck,
they got luck.
Yeah.
And I wish I had that luck. I don't get those sort of things.
Yeah.
But I mean, you couldn't have picked it, and it was unfortunate for everyone who was rescheduling, because then you'd have to put it on some, like, for example, the first Carlisle night.
Yeah.
Sold out. 80 people turned up, but it sold out. I've never seen anything like it in my life.
Yeah.
I'm stood there thinking, do they even know where the club is?
I don't remember you saying that, because I thought, like, in my head it was like, this is going to be rammed, because like, there was a bit of hype and stuff like that. Like a lot of the old Sanctuary faces from West Cumbria were on it, and I'm looking forward to seeing them.
We had Andy Whitby booked, and he got COVID.
Yeah.
So that was 2 days before he had to cancel.
Mm-hmm.
But we swapped him for club filler.
Yeah.
I think that might have affected maybe a couple of handful of people.
Yeah.
But not 250 people not turning up.
Yeah.
So I just couldn't get my head around that. But if that day was something that they'd booked for someone else, it might have been you had to pick between the two.
Yeah.
That sort of thing. So then the event after, the Halloween one, that didn't sell as many tickets, but it was a lot busier.
Yeah.
And then we did the Christmas one with the rescheduled Andy Whitby date, which wasn't great. It was a week before Christmas. It was never going to be great. But I had this booking that I'd already paid for that I had to fit in somewhere.
Yeah.
And but I mean, I love that venue. It's
Class.
a lot of people like it, but it's just not really took off the way I thought it would after selling out the first event. So that's sort of on the back burner for a bit, I think.
I just want to ask, how did you get into that venue then originally? Because, like, as I say, I didn't even know that existed anymore. Because it used to be the Melting Pot, didn't it?
Yeah.
But like, I thought that had sort of been and gone. Like.
Oh, I did, but obviously I speak with Gary Kay.
Yeah.
Ask him what he recommends in the area, and he told me about it. So I went up for a chat with the guy Seb who owns it.
Yeah.
So it was between that and the one next door. What's it called?
Brickyard.
Brickyard.
Yeah.
So Gary said they're both good. They're
Yeah.
both similar size, but the difference was you put a system in one. The other one, I thought had a function one in it, but it hasn't.
Yeah.
So it was a relatively low cost setup night. If it didn't work, which often in Carlisle it doesn't,
Yeah.
you won't lose a lot of money. But if you're setting everything up plus paying all your wages, it's a bit of a harder hit. So I went for that, and it was the second one at least was a brilliant night.
I love that. That was so good. So you've always got like bits and bobs on it. It's sort of constant. So there's so much I want to ask you about. The cricket union, when that came back, what was the thing behind that?
Well, what it was, since leaving the cricketer, we always did like a Sanctuary cricketer reunion.
Right.
So it was all the DJs who played for Sanctuary at the cricketer. And then there were some good ones at DNA. We've done a couple over the years. But then they didn't seem to work. I think the last one we did was at Maxim's when it was WM1.
Yeah.
But Bowlers got in touch with me, and they were doing this big reunion night.
Right.
So they had Maxim's. The main room was Maxim's Back to the Old School, and they had Monroe's national anthems, and they wanted to do a cricketer thing. So I thought, well, what I'll do, and it was one of the biggest nights I've ever had at Bowlers. They had about 6,000 people, and it was just, couldn't believe how busy it was. So I thought, there's definitely a market here, because our room was packed out. We're in the smaller of the 3 rooms, but it was packed out, so I could see there was interest. So I thought, I'll start it off again, but what I'll do, don't do it as a sanctuary cricketer, and pick from each brand and just do it as a cricketer reunion.
Yeah.
So you'd have a couple from Foreplay, some from Sanctuary, Dance Attack, Meltdown, some of the Vic DJs who they did some nights there. So a mixture of everybody, a mixture of the MCs, mixture of the DJs. And that was the first one we did at Pure. The first few at Pure was just amazing. And like the music's really close to my heart, because it was sort of it's what I started really. So there's always got fond memories of the original sounds that got you passionate about the scene. So the thing what happened with the cricket reunion is that a lot of the DJs sort of got them out of semi-retirement, and they weren't doing a lot of other stuff.
Yeah.
So that kick-started their passion for DJing and MCing. So then they started doing more things.
Yeah.
Some good stuff, some not so good stuff. So the cricket reunions weren't then as special, because you could see these people there and everywhere.
Yeah.
So they haven't been as good as they were. So I've decided, moving forward, I'll do one a year. And probably try and make them a bit more exclusive. With the artists, and not trying to get too like bossy with them, but if they're going to be playing so many weeks around, there's pointless having them on, because it's not special.
Yeah, you want it to be like an annual sort of something everyone looks forward to, sort of thing. Things like that.
Exactly. Probably. I mean, I've got a date penciled. I've got a few dates penciled at Pure for various different events.
Yeah.
I've not had them confirmed yet, but I've put them forward to the venue. One of them is going to be my 25 years, which will be next year, so that'll be a big thing for me.
Yeah.
I've managed to last so long. So that'll be a lot of cricketer-based artists.
Yeah, through the years.
Old friends and what have you. So that won't be a cricket reunion.
Yeah.
And I will do a cricket reunion. Try and space them out.
Yeah.
Just trying to keep things interesting. Because the thing what I find, because Sanctuary's been going for so long, we've done that many. There's people want to do new things, and they'll think, well, I'm not going to go to that one because I can go again in a month or 2 months.
Make them feel special.
So if I can make the events more exclusive, 1, 2, 3 a year, 2 push, there'll be more interest. So it's like I've had that Martin from BTID, he's a good friend, and we talk a lot, and he advises me, saying, you do too much. And I don't see it as doing too much, but sometimes you really need to listen to people, which I have a problem with doing sometimes. So I'm definitely doing it with the cricket. That'll be 1 next year.
Yeah.
And trying to do less sanctuary nights, but I'm putting together a new team, residents. Some people don't know, some people sort of know. I've not followed up the conversations, because again, if you can see all the same people playing overnights, a week apart, different venues, you want to have your exclusive lineup.
Yeah.
Same with like BTID, they've got their core residents.
What I think's really good about BTID, that I think Sanctuary or any of the branding you do would benefit, is I think I've only seen this once, and it was this year. They announced all the events for the year. I know it's harder to do it because you need to lock in dates and stuff like that, But like they said, with like at the beginning of the year, I remember saying our Wonderland's going to be then, our BTID Ibiza's going to be then, our Boxing Day, and like they sort of done it throughout the year. So it was an insinuation of, right, we're not going to. If you miss this event, you miss out on this spectacle. Do you know what I mean?
Well, they do. Their events are exclusive. You've got one pier on the pier. You've got one Wonderland.
Yeah.
You used to have one park hall, but now there's more. Can't see anything else.
Yeah.
So they are sort of you miss this, like you said, miss pier on the pier. You're not going for another 12 months.
Yeah.
But if you miss Sanctuary at Flamingo, don't worry, because you can go again in 2 months. So I need to get my head around that.
Yeah.
So this is where I've got Blackpool, Wigan, and now Morecambe. I don't know how long that's going to last, but the first one was really good.
Yeah.
They want me to do more things next year, so sort of space them about, and there's maybe a Sangfest. But that's I've got a partner in it, and I'm leaving a lot of stuff down to him because he's connected with councils and production and things like that. So he needs to kick up the arse to get things going, because I want to get things advertised, because like say like BTID, they get the dates out, people know it's happening, other people know that that's happening, so they don't want to put things on that day.
If you see spectacles like as you say, you pier on the pier, or on a bigger scale, Creamfields, you see Creamfields, like they release the tickets the day after the last one, or 2 days after, if I'm not mistaken, and you see them like everyone's, because the hype's freshly there off the last one, like or that someone's seen their mates go and they're like, fuck me, I missed out on a good night there, I'm gonna have to get on that, and they're buying the tickets straight away. So and then they've got them tickets for a whole year before, so I can see why you want to get it out earlier, and you'll get that initial people buying the tickets, and then it'll sort of dribs and drabs throughout the year, and then that last few weeks when you do it, you'll be able to sort of hammer home that this is going to be sort of special.
Same with Reminisce, they get theirs out pretty much straight away, get the date out.
Yeah.
You pretty know within a week aside of each other when Reminisce is going to be. Creamfields is always bank holiday weekend.
Yeah. So I think if you could establish that, that's just, I think that would be really sort of beneficial to you in the long run. If you'd say I did do this week per year. Same with like you see in the Hard House scene, the Tidy Weekender. I think they had a bit of a thing because of COVID, rearranging dates and stuff like that. But throughout the year, they're like, right, we're doing this, this, and this year, and if you miss it, then you miss it. There's not going to be another in 2 months or whatnot. But I wanted to ask about the Johnny's Warehouse. Is it called? Is that what I think? So you've done that one. I've seen the first. I can't remember, someone put up a video or something like that. It looked refreshing and decent.
It was brilliant. It got recommended me to Macca.
Yeah.
You know, Mad Macca.
Yeah.
He recommended it ages ago, and I just thought, Morecambe, I'm not interested.
Mm-hmm.
But then I think about it, and when we went to Lancaster for Liquid, they started off really well. So, but I think I overdid it, and then the club shut down, and that was it. But like you mentioned about Cumbria, we have had a lot of good following from Lancaster and Morecambe over the years.
Yeah.
And these days you're lucky to get 5 people from both towns together. So I know that there's people in the area who like the music. I mean, I know a lot go to the bigger events, the BTID events. So I thought, you know what, why not? I'll go and have a look at it. And I went in, I thought it's got potential, this. So it's quite a new business, and they're all kitted out with the latest 3000 Nexus. And
nice.
So what do you want? He said, there's no room here, you can do what you want. I thought, right, sign me up. And it went really well. The only problem was it was so hot. Everyone was outside. We locked out. We couldn't let any more people in. Police came and said, that's it, you're not letting anyone in. But everyone was outside because it was so hot, because it was middle of summer. Yeah. Well, back end of summer, but it was really hot.
Untapped area as well, isn't it? Like, I think that's what you just need to look for.
Yeah, I'm definitely not going to overdo it. I'm going to put a few dates in, but the thing is, when that happens, you get people trying to jump on the bandwagon and sort of nick it off you, and it's some venues hard to sort of stay exclusive. I mean, I don't expect them to, but
Yeah, business.
if the area starts getting crowded with other bounce nights, he's just going to kill it off. So fingers crossed that doesn't happen.
Yeah. I want to ask as well. Obviously, I was doing some of them mashups and that for you, for the promo videos that you were doing. Have you got something to do with the Zone now? Is that?
Yeah, I'm co-running Zone with Debbie,
Right.
which is going really well. I'm really enjoying it because I mean I grew up listening to Zone.
Yeah.
It got me into the music and the MCing, listening to Breeze and Ivy.
Yeah.
I didn't actually hear Wizard till after I'd started.
Yeah.
I was more into the venue tapes before I had a dabble in hardcore for a bit.
Yeah.
But I mean, I've had a bit of involvement with Zone in the past.
Yeah.
But it was a really sort of dark time, at 2012-13. It wasn't a good time for anything in Clubland.
Yeah.
Especially old school nights. They didn't really work. We did one in Carlisle that was good, and the others was sort of breaking even. So we stopped doing it. It wasn't worth our while. Or it wasn't worth my while, but it was when I brought Zone in to do the Room 2 at one of the Sangfest at Domain,
Yeah.
and then the New Year's Eve at Flamingo. So there was still scope for potential good events. So I spoke to Debbie, said, listen, I'm happy to come on board with you if you want to do it. And we've gone from there. The 30th birthday.
Yeah.
That was such a good night. And I mean, I know the bigger nights like that, the flagship birthday events and things like that, they'll always do well. And I think because it was advertised in COVID and everyone was just dying to get out, everyone just bought tickets. The only bad thing that happened with that was a date change.
Right.
So we went from July, from the original Zone birthday was in July.
Yeah.
And we had to put it back to August bank holiday. We lost a lot of people because they bought Creamfields tickets.
Right.
We had a good 150 people not turn up, but it was still a really good night. And then from there, with the old school nights, you're looking at an event that started 30 years ago. People in the 50s, 40s, 50s, and sometimes older. They're not going to go to every night. They might have just done the birthday and then hung the dancing shoes up again.
Yeah.
So we know that. We know they're not all going to be massive.
Yeah.
So we're trying to keep it interesting. And Debbie wanted Ultrasonic on for a birthday event.
Yeah.
Which, I mean, another one of the first things I ever listened to was Fantasia Big Bang, Ultrasonic on that.
Yeah.
So I wanted to book him just to be involved in an event. I mean, I've introduced Mallorca Lee before at Reminisce, but never been on a proper line-up
Club
event with Ultrasonic. I mean, they don't do it as a PA anymore. He's just sort of a one-man band. But it was still a good experience to have him on. It didn't really pull like we expected it to.
Yeah.
And these 56-year-olds weren't really up for the bouncy techno hardcore like they were in 95, 96.
Yeah.
It was good.
I found that, I don't know what's caused it or whatnot, but during COVID, I think maybe a lot of the older generation thought maybe life's too short or something like that, because there seems to be a big resurgence in the old school. And like, I think I'm just speaking of a Cumbria because obviously I've seen it, but there was a time, as you say, 2012, 2013, where the old school thing sort of like no one goes to old school nights anymore, and then now there just seems to be a big boom of it again since COVID.
Well, you're right. That's just like the Cumbria dancing. It comes and goes.
Yeah.
When Bowlers reopened in 2012, that was massive, and they had some Fantasia events on, and there was big events, and I think people got the idea that, well, I'm going to do that, and loads of people were doing old school nights. Because before that, you had the Bowlers reunion, which is now rebranded as More Cake.
Yeah.
They were one of the only people doing old school nights, and that made them successful. And after that, loads started doing it. More Cake went a little bit quiet. So the people who were putting the bits and bats here, there and everywhere, they'd soon start dropping.
Yeah.
And the stronger ones will represent themselves. So that was the same time when I first got involved with Zone. like when bowls are reopened, but bowls don't really do that many old school nights anymore.
Yeah.
I mean, there's a big one,
Like-
Stu Allen's Memorial.
Yeah.
which
I hope that's a good
absolutely
turnout.
gobsmacked. Like that, I'm on the lineup with all those people.
It's crazy that
Everyone
lineup.
I've listened growing up as a kid, and I'm on the lineup, and I mean, I'm proud to be part of it.
Yeah,
Can't wait
that's, huge.
because no stress because I'm not running it, so I can go and enjoy myself with some
Yeah.
of the legends that I've grown up listening to.
That, when I see that lineup drop, and like you see, like, so obviously when you see a usual club flyer and it's like boom headliner and it's like in big font and all this, then you get like the names of and like right down to the bottom where it gets smaller. And I was getting down the list because it's quite a small like fonted list on the flyer, and I was getting close to the bottom and there was still fucking huge names on the thing. I was like, fuck.
Well, I think the last MC on the list is Nats. And
Yeah.
Nats is one of the most legendary MCs ever been. He's been going for about 80 years, I think.
But it's crazy, like the I'm gonna try and get to it. But if you're a rave, like if you've been to raves and had anything to do with the rave scene in the north of England in the last 30 years, it's like a dream lineup. Well, it is a dream lineup. Do you know what I mean? Like if you
You'll
look at it.
definitely miss someone.
Yeah.
Because if you're in that room, you're going to miss someone in that room, and you won't be able to. And for me as well, I'll be yapping to people. All day. Exactly what I do at like Reminisce.
Yeah.
Go to Reminisce, do my set, and I try and have a day out, but
You can't.
I end up getting pulled. Oh, I can't believe I've not seen you for ages, and start talking.
Yeah.
Even walking across the site takes time.
But yeah, I can see what you mean. So I want to get into as well before we move on to like sort of more modern stuff. You as an artist, like as Efeeze, since coming back from COVID, I've seen your name on like flyers as well as like away from Sanctuary and stuff. Are you being more proactive or what?
Well, I've got to deal with BTID.
Yeah.
I don't want to go too much into it, but I'm a bit more exclusive. I'm not 100% exclusive because I've obviously got Sanctuary and my other bits and bats.
Yeah.
But I'm exclusive to them for a period of time around the events.
Right.
So that's usually when I plan sort of West Cumbria, Carlisle, things out of town because it's a Northwest agreement. I do a few old school things. Do you know what? I turn down so many bookings. Some of them because I'm just not interested.
Yeah.
But some because I've got this arrangement. I'd rather do the bigger events.
Yeah.
And then go to a shitty club with 100 people in them. I'm not interested. I've done it that long.
Yeah.
I'd rather be at home with my family.
Yeah.
So, like you mentioned about their calendar, I know those dates for the year. I can plan my dates for the year. I can plan my holidays with the family. I can tell Robin my club rota. She works her rota out. There's a lot more goes into it than just taking a booking, because I've got 3 children, and I'm not one of these people who will just expect her to drop everything because I'm going to a booking. It's a 2-way street. She's got commitments, I've got commitments, we've both got jobs.
Absolutely.
And we need time together as a family, and that's one thing that COVID has definitely taught me.
Yeah.
Not that I ever did it anyway. I always do stuff for my kids.
Yeah.
I mean, we've been on like 4 holidays this year. Won't be the same next year. She's starting uni in January, but even that, she'll be doing uni Monday to Friday, and she'll have to work at the weekend.
Yeah.
So I need to be at home. So
Makes
if
sense.
someone says, "Can you come and do this club in
Back and beyond somewhere.
Rottenstall,
Yeah.
Slam Dunk the Donk or something?"
Yeah.
Do you know, I'm not interested. I've been there, done that. I'm not bothered.
Yeah. It's like turning up to be disheartened, but then a night away from your family as well. Like, because you're disheartened because you get booked for this event, you turn up and it's a fucking, like as you say, it's a workmen's club. Nothing against it or out like that. People are putting the effort in trying to run an event.
Yeah, of course, you start somewhere, but it's just not for me.
Yeah, that's understandable, totally. But as I say, sort of coming up to more recent times, I've seen that you're never not busy, put it that way. Do you know what I mean? but you've got a lot on. So obviously you've been doing the Black Box. You've been doing bits and bobs in Pure, and I've seen you on a few lineups. You did the Let's Have It a couple. You've done them before.
I've not done Let's Have It.
Have you not? I thought you did.
No.
I thought you did one Let's Have It. Or was it Slams? Is that not right?
Yeah, Slam. That was like a collab.
A collaboration event. Sorry, yeah, I thought that was a.
Yeah. So what happened with that is Wonderland got cancelled,
Right.
and the promoters involved in Slammed were supposed to have an arena at Wonderland.
Right.
So because it moved to Park Hall, they couldn't accommodate us. So we just put heads together and put Slam together.
Right, that makes sense. I didn't know the thing behind it. I thought it was like sort of that event. So you've done that, and I've seen. Am I right in thinking you're on the Sopranos lineup for the birthday event?
Yeah. So, I don't think I was actually booked for Sopranos earlier in the year.
Right.
And I got stuck on the motorway at 3 o'clock in the morning. There'd been some mad crash.
Yeah.
And I didn't make it. It was the Battle of the Brands.
Right.
So we were going to do a sanctuary set there, and they were going to do one with us, but I didn't make it.
So who was the sanctuary set? Was it you and John?
Me and Nick.
And you and Nick, right? All right. And then sort of this year you've been obviously doing the Flamingos events, and sort of keeping busy like that. So what have you got like in the pipeline that you can share with us? You mentioned the Sankfest. We won't get into that because obviously I don't know what's confirmed or not. But what have you got for people to look forward to in the future? So next week, because this will be coming out this Friday, next week it's Sanctuary Sopranos in Blackpool. I think that's going to be like really good. Probably one of the best events of the year.
It was really good last year.
Yeah. What else have you got coming up?
Well, there's the Bowlers event the week after. Then it's the Sopranos' birthday, and then I'm doing a spin-off Maxime's night, which is called Bounce Nation.
Oh yeah.
So that's at Pure. The week after, 10th of December. There's nothing on the 10th. I think I've got my work to do actually.
Right.
If I go, I didn't go last year. Robin's got her work to do the same day, so
yeah.
It's like, who's going, who's not?
Well, toss for him.
Potentially a zone night.
Right. Oh,
we've only really spoke about it briefly last night, me and Debbie.
Yeah.
I can't say too much about that either because I don't want to upset people.
Yeah.
But I have to make a decision. I think it'll be good because recently I've been introduced. Well, recently we've introduced a few new DJs to Zone.
Yeah.
And traditionally, it's always been traditional DJs. But same thing I said about the Sanctuary events, people getting bored. If people have seen these DJs over and over and over for 30 years, they're going to lose interest and they think, you know what, I don't want to do it. But introducing new people, fresh talent, they've got followings, and it makes the night different. Few new tunes that aren't usually played.
Yeah.
It worked at the last one. So bringing new people in obviously means someone's got to be left out.
Yeah.
And we did a competition as well, DJ competition, looking for a Jenk style DJ.
Right.
And the response was unreal, and there's so many good DJs out there, and I feel sorry because these aren't kids.
Yeah.
And some of them, especially the guy who won it, Fitch. I mean, I'd heard his name years ago. He's a Cumbrian guy from South, from Barrow, I think.
Right.
I've heard his name for years, seen his mixes, but never met him. I just can't remember if I met him. But, so these are people who haven't really had a chance at Zone over the years, and now people have got the chance of a chance.
Yeah.
He's just exposed all these good DJs. So the one that we're looking at Christmas is going to include a lot more new DJs.
Yeah.
If I get my way, obviously it's got to be agreed with Debbie.
Yeah.
Because you never know, it could be the best DJ you've ever heard, but they've never had the chance.
Yeah. Well, I'll tell you something. This is just me as a person. This is my personal opinion. I seen the lineup for the Halloween one that you did, and it was, I can't remember the flavour. It was like headliner, and then there's your usual suspects that you see on Zone. And then there was Gary Kay, Candy Grundy, a couple
George
of others.
Morris.
Yeah.
Geordie lad.
right? And I seen that, and you know something, it was like, oh, like it piqued my interest. So for somebody who's banging to zone, I could imagine it was probably like, this is not just the same thing you're seeing all the time, and it made me like think, this could be something. So as an average listener, I think I was more attracted to look at the changes here rather than the headliner. I thought it was really good what you're doing. I seen you doing the competition and stuff like that. So it's maybe something to keep in mind. That's just coming from.
We're definitely going to carry on doing it, but the thing is now we're at the problem that the new people who've come in have impressed really well. So do we keep them on? Get rid of some of the older faces. You've got to have your core zone people.
Yeah.
The legend DJs who've done it for years. There has to be some there.
Yeah.
So, and we're not really keen. Well, Debbie's not really keen on shortening the sets. I know a lot of bounce sets these days are really short or back to back, and no one likes that. But if you have 5 DJs on, everyone says, "Oh shit, that line up."
Yeah, I know what you mean.
So it's hard working with that as well. So bringing in other legend zone DJs, we've booked someone, can't say his name, for April. Obviously, someone's got to move aside for that person.
Yeah.
And then bringing in other new people, someone's got to move aside. So it's always hard doing that. That's why it's hard having residents and having a lot of residents.
Yeah.
And something Sopranos have always done is advertise the residents for the year. I never do that because
things change.
Apart from I have arguments with people, do you know, it might not fit the night you want to do.
Yeah.
So if you go into a venue where, like what people call a rush pit, you would expect tunes like, say, Nicky B will play.
Yeah.
And that would fit the theme.
Yeah.
But on the other side of the coin, you could go to somewhere like a Last Hour at Flamingo, where you know yourself that won't work. You've got to pick for the venue. But if you've committed to people to be residents, they have got to be on all of them. And if you don't play the music, so I always think about that. But I am going to announce 2023 residents.
That's good, yeah. But I think that a good thing is that obviously not the 2023 residents, but the thing with zone is you could do sort of, I'm just, as I say, spitballing or something, but people on rotation. Okay, you're not on this event, but you'll be on the next one.
Well, that's how it is at the minute.
Yeah.
Without actually being said, we do say to people, if they ask, "Oh, why am I not on?" But the fact is, you just can't have everyone on.
So much time, yeah.
And it's not just the time; it's the money. And Joe Public doesn't understand that all these DJs cost money.
Yeah.
And your door admissions have to cover these costs, and you need to make money off it, or it's pointless doing. So it's a bit disheartening when you put a good lineup out and then someone goes, "Oh, what about him?"
So and so, yeah.
Give me a fucking break.
Yeah, you should be excited about what you see. Like, right? I mean, if you did it and there were, I don't want to degrade anybody else, but if you put it on and there was a load of just B-class DJs on who were not necessarily good, you'd be like, "Where's everyone at?" But you're putting a strong lineup on, and it's like so and so's not on. It's like, fucking hell! Like, these are all sort of grade A DJs. I don't understand why people complain and stuff. Like, I think nowadays you're looking at it from a promoter's view. I think people should be looking from a DJ's perspective. Why promoters book them, and that thing being of like, people need to work harder to stand out and just not expect a place. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
so, like it gives them a reason for you to be on every event. Like, that's just my opinion. Like, you should. I will put it out there now. Like, for those who don't know, if you look at the last event I put on, I done myself open till close, and that was simply because I've dropped all my residents. There's no resident DJs on who were in the past, because people get complacent, people get lazy, and it's like, there's no excitement about it. So if I do it myself, and then they come and question me and say, "Why am I not on the event?" I'll say, "Well, when was the last time you done something that contributed to it?" It's like, you've got to be able to bring something to the table. If you're not going to put out a mix every few months or something like that and then expect to be on, it's like...
See, this is one of the big issues with like the deviation competition once a year, searching for a new DJ. The majority of the better DJs, they'll sort of they won't let it known on social media that they're playing. They'll turn up on their own, and you have got to have something else about you than mixing tunes. I tell you, I've said this a million times to different people.
Yeah.
The last thing I need is a DJ who can mix, because there's a million people
Who can do it? Yeah.
if there's nothing else to you, and it's not like there's this sort of stigma about ticket sellers. It's not about selling tickets, it's about proving that people want to come and watch you.
Yeah.
So if you've got, I mean, last deviation competition, the majority of DJs played to nobody,
Yeah.
which it's a waste of money. It costs me money to run the competition. I've got to pay for the room, I've got to pay for the staff, I've got to pay to stock the fridges. So it costs me money. I'm not doing it for people to sell tickets.
Yeah.
You're sort of judging. If you've got a bit of a crowd there, you can't play to a crowd if there's no crowd.
Yeah.
So, and all these people who feel I'm too good for room 2, well, prove it.
Yeah. I'm not.
It's hard to get recognised as an artist. It really is.
Yeah.
And it's because of social media. It works against itself. It's really good to help yourself promote. It's much better than standing outside clubs giving cassettes out, which we used to do 25 years ago. You can put yourself out there, but you've got to know how social media works.
Yeah. You've got to even try as well. Like, a lot of these people won't try the social media because it's like, oh, I'm not selling myself out like that. I'm not doing that. It's like, why not? It's a tool. Use it. Like,
Exactly. It's a massive part of the whole industry.
yeah. Well, like, this is not my, like, I don't want anyone to be offended by this, but I'll probably offend somebody. When you see it and it's like, I'm better than room 2, I'm better than this, whatever, and then you go to the night where they're booked on a room 2, the room's empty, and it's like, if you're as good as you say you are,
But all their friends are in the main room. They
Yeah.
don't even want to watch their own friend.
that's just goes to show. I know it's a really blunt thing to say, but it's just the truth, isn't it?
It's
Like,
the truth, and
yeah.
you know what? We put a deviation live event on in Flamingo. Did free tickets. We got rid of 750 free tickets. I thought it was going to be really busy, but as you know, it doesn't cost anyone for a free ticket, so people just get them and then don't go. But I thought there would be more than, I think there's about 100 people there.
Right.
But those 100 people who were there, no one was on the dance floor. And this group of MCs, don't get me wrong, they've got skills in the writing and the deliverance and all that, and the DJs as well. There was no one on the dance floor, but they're still playing the same pokey after pokey
Yeah.
and not looking round. It's like, come on, this is why you're in room 2.
Yeah.
There's one MC who impressed me out of all of them on that deviation live. I'm not going to say any other names.
Yeah.
But this guy who impressed was that Blister.
Yeah.
Is it? I think it's a Scouser.
Right. Okay.
It's not common for me to praise a Scouser.
I think I've seen somebody put up on SoundCloud something like last week of his, and I stuck it on, and I
Is
thought,
that Nicky, wasn't it? I've not
That's the
I've
one,
not
yeah.
listened to it myself yet, but
Yeah.
I'm going to do because he was the only person, apart from Oggy, trying to get the crowd going, trying to get people on the dance floor. He's got really good potential.
yeah. Obviously you're looking from an MC's perspective, and for me, like, I don't know whether you're a lot of the time you're outside. If I'm like, when I'm on for Sanctuary, because I was doing like sort of the first hour and stuff, but I wouldn't come in and put on not even pokey, harder stuff at 150 plus in the first hour, and it's like you walk into these room 2s, and I'm not just saying it's at a Sanctuary event, I mean room 2s anywhere that's got a bounce event on. You go in and the DJs are on at 9 o'clock at night playing 155 fucking like mega
I've had
pokey
it at
shit.
Sanctuary. There was I'm not going to name drop because it's a site, but they literally started with a pokey track at 155.
Yeah.
The first hour, I said, "What the fuck are you doing?"
Yeah.
He said, "Well, there's no one in." Yeah, because you just open the door. You don't want to walk into that.
Yeah.
And that's what they can't get their head round.
Yeah.
They think they're a main room DJ, main set DJ before they can walk.
That's
Frustrated.
what. Yeah, and like, there's been times where I've had an idea of what I wanted to play, and you've said you're on at this time, and I've came and I've adapted it because I couldn't play. What I wanted to play wouldn't fit that hour. Do you know what I mean? And there's been other times where, like, say I played the last hour for you, and I would maybe expect it to go on first or something like that, and I've had to change it up completely as well. But these people have just got in their heads, this is who I am as an artist, and I'm going to go and play pokey at whatever hour it is, first hour, last hour, anytime one. This is what I do. I don't change for no one, sort of thing. And it's like, you've got to be you to an extent, but you've got to learn to read that crowd as well. Well, like, what do they want to hear? Like, if somebody's on before you, for instance, and they're playing a load of pokey stuff and everyone's going nuts to it, then fair enough, go on and carry on that vibe if you want to. And
in the same way, you wouldn't drop it 10 BPM and play some old Dutch stuff.
Yeah, exactly.
Kill it.
Yeah, that's exactly what it is. But as I say, I think a lot of people might just take a bit of conditioning into realising that they can do whatever they want. Yeah, it's a hard line, because you don't disrespect anybody by saying there's a reason no one's in here. Or, do you know what I mean? Like, I don't like offending people, if I'm honest, but sometimes it's in black and white. It's right in front of you. Like, if what I was playing wasn't working, I'd play a different style. For instance, you can lose a dance floor from track to track. So then, I don't know. For an example, I've been on where I've played like a Spanish track, like a Spanish hard dance with the rolling bass lines. You know, like something like I don't know. So I think the tune off the top made was DJ Litos, the Heat of the Night tune, I think it's called. I was playing that and I was like, this isn't translating well. So then you go back to the more bouncy offbeat stuff, and then it goes from there. I know I sort of rabbiting on a bit now about it, but it's just it's simple reading of the crowd. Like, anyone can put a track list together.
You could have two DJs playing the exact same list of tunes in a different order. One will work and one won't work. Yeah. And that's always one of the things that I always loved about Andy Pendle.
Right.
He's just the best at playing the right tune at the right time. And Benty as well, but more back at the pier.
Yeah.
Just reading the crowd and playing that, like, because at the pier back in the day, like before I really started at clubs, you could have like a trance tune, and then all of a sudden, Funky Rhyme will drop, and it was like when Donk was just coming in, that sound, I fucking hate that word. Yeah. When that sound was coming about, Head Check, things like that, and it wasn't a full night of it. You'd have one or two every hour, and that was the effect it had, and then you'd have like a massive big transfer. Yeah. And they come at the right time. It's the DJ knowing when to play those tunes, and watching the crowd and notice when it's a bit different. And
looking at it from because there were novelty tracks as well. Like when you hear say, as you say, Head Check. When Head Check come in, it's like this is that sort of donk tune. But looking at it from a perspective of a producer, if I was in that club and I'm like, well, this is going off. And then all of a sudden we've created our own subgenre of music because this tune works, so I'm going to produce a tune with the donking, and then everyone's producing a tune with the donking, and then all of a sudden we're a donk scene. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, well, this I've always tried to stick with what I want from a sanctuary DJ. Yeah. And I never really wanted a producer DJ. It's good if you can produce, but I don't like the same. Because if a lot of producers use the same bass lines and the same sounds, so if you've got a set with all that same sound, it could kill it, and you've got nothing to change to. Yeah. The only person who did it better, who did it right, was sort of Alex K, because he made different bass lines. Yeah. You'd rarely, when he played at DNA for us, you'd rarely have a following on the same bass line.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of producers these days, even though they make some good tracks,
Same, isn't it?
they can kill it by
Yeah.
just being, it just like gets like monotone and like boring.
I think my attraction to Sanctuary when I was getting into it when I was younger was listening to, say, John. John, for me, is like, I'm not just saying it because he's your mate or anything like that. I've told him to his face, as like he's my favourite DJ and as a club DJ, because even now I'm like, oh, I don't know if this will work in a club, John, what do you reckon? And he'll be like, at the right time that'll work, because he'll play a bit of trance in his set, he'll play a bit of hard house in his set, he'll play the latest dunk tune in his set, but like he's still got the thing that attracted me to Sanctuary was there was a little bit of everything. Do you know what I mean? So like, I'm not knocking anybody else, but if you went to Medicine, it would just be the same thing all night, like the
Pokey.
the pokey stuff. No, but I'm not knocking it because it at its time and place. But what I'm saying is, with John, he could throw in an Italian tune, he could throw in a trance tune. You didn't know what was coming, and it kept the night exciting, because like when I used to listen to the CDs, it was like getting an education of, oh well, that's Italian, that's that. And
John G is one of the only DJs who could probably play a big event start to finish and not struggle with any tune.
Yeah.
And not lose a crowd.
Yeah.
That mixing in for the 20th birthday.
Right.
It's just tune after tune after tune. You think, Jesus.
Yeah, but as I say, just got always like his variety in styles is what piqued my interest in being a DJ. Like there's a few names out there in the scene who's like that, but if you're just gonna come on and you're gonna play bounce with the same donk sampling throughout, yeah, the tunes are good as an individual, but like 30 minutes into that set, I'm gonna be like, fucking, I'm sick of hearing that sound now.
He got he's been labelled it's just an Italian DJ for off a few people for a while. I said, do you even know what we played at Sanctuary?
Yeah.
Like, yeah, you play all that old stuff, cricket. I said, no, we didn't. No, 10 years ago we did. Like in the past, it was 10 years. But I think it's hard to shake it off. If he's not just an old school DJ, he's an Italian DJ. It's like, I think he might have lost his passion for new music for a while, but now he seems to be liking all the harder driving, like Ben Nicky stuff, and we've been talking a lot about Hardstyle recently, me and him.
Yeah.
And I've because I tell you what, it was in Ibiza in September, and the people above us, me and Robin's room, had the loudest fucking boombox, whatever you call them, non-stop 24 hours, and they had Hardstyle on. And if it wasn't annoying me that much, it would have been good. So I thought, I had to felt like we're asking him, what's this you're playing? Because some of the tunes, it's so close to bounce.
Yeah, it is.
But a lot better produced.
Yeah.
So I've been only briefly trying to look into some hardstyle stuff.
Honestly, fantastic, mate. Like, I love it. Like, if you listen, like I don't play it in clubs because there's times and a place. I think I have in the past, but a lot of the time at a donk event it won't really work that well. But on my CDs that I put out, I always finish with like a hardstyle tune and go a little bit harder, because I love the sound and how you say it's so close, the big riffs and the sound cleaner, better produced, like professionally mastered, and it just as a whole.
It's such a bigger scene worldwide as well. But it's not. I mean, obviously there are big hardstyle events and they're growing in this country, but it's not anything many people have really looked at in the bounce circle. Yeah, I think Ben T and Kenny had a vinyl release. I can't think of what they were called. Was it Digital Storm?
Right.
Ben's passion used to be, I think it was techno or something. Like his hard music. I used to when he said it. I had a chat with him. I was tuning his ear off when I was we were booked in Leeds, Bounce Heaven, and he gave me a lift home, and I was tuning his ear off, and told me about his first love for techno music in And then they got the shop, and then he got to the pier, and
Yeah, and then
So-
things just roll from there,
Yeah.
don't they? Yeah, I like Hardstyle. I listen to it like in my own time, and I think there is definitely a thing for it, like a crossover into bounce.
I keep thinking, could we actually pull off that crowd control thing at BTID? The left,
yeah,
that'd be
yeah.
mad, wouldn't it?
That's crazy that, and as I say, it's big elsewhere. It just hasn't seemed to have really took off. There's a niche following even in the bounce circle. I talk to some people, and they're like, "Hardstyle's good," but then they won't publicly.
Loads of people go to Hellfire,
Yeah.
Victoria Warehouse, and that sells out.
Yeah.
5,000-6,000 people.
Class. I think people like Darren Styles and that have really opened it up as well, working with the Tweakers and people like that. And they make more like the Tweakers is more like cheesy hardstyle.
Yeah,
YouTube.
that's the first I searched for when I was looking into it.
Yeah.
I had a brief look on I think YouTube, so I looked for the Tweakers. And
Yeah, they're a good.
I've got all Darren Styles stuff. What John? Because John updates my USB all the time. Whatever he's got,
Yeah.
he says, "Give me that USB back. I'll update you."
Yeah, but as I say, before we sort of go off this subject, John's played my favourite set this year I've seen in a club. That's how, even now, how good he is, because I remember we were in the black box and he started pulling out this type of Benny Nicky stuff, and it was different for him. Like I hadn't heard it, I wasn't expecting it, and he played that Rhythm of the Night remix. It's a proper official remix, I think, as well. It's out like on Spotify and that. And when he played that, and he kicked in, and everyone was going mental for it. And it was like, I remember I looked at Bon and I was like, "Fucking, he's fucking smashing it."
I think the same thing happened to me because I'd not heard him play any new music for so long, and then one day just full set. It's the same guest we've got here. But he's done it since. He's good.
Yeah.
He's finding the passion back in it again.
It's class. I love the thing. He's obviously we talk most days, and he's very. He knows what he likes, and he's very passionate about it. He loves, like, because we got into talking about Technical, the producer, and he's a big fan of his stuff and that's how we sort of got talking.
Booked him at the Syndicate.
Yeah, but
On the back of how good his tunes were.
and does he not translate well with the bounce crowd?
It didn't work.
Yeah,
But I think it didn't help by having a bounce room next door.
yeah,
So instead of being forced to listen to this newer good music,
Yeah.
they just went into the next room. So same with Ben Stevens.
yeah,
The official launch day at Sanook, which was before Domain.
yeah,
That's who he had as a headliner, and he had this back to bounce theme in the next room. So it was like the main residents who weren't playing in the main room were playing in the other room,
yeah,
along with the MCs. I wanted it to be more hosting because this is the time where I'm trying different things out.
yeah,
So you likes of Arky and Duffy, MDMC, I think they were put downstairs.
yeah,
They didn't like it, but I was trying something new. It wasn't. No one was in trouble or anything. I wasn't punishing anyone. But we had, I think, just me and Jordan hosting the main room. But we had put Ben Stevens on, and just one by one, they had the room emptied.
Just, I think bounce heads are very, very focused and driven into what they like, and if you differ too much away, because I like Ben's stuff, I think it's really good. I think I'm a massive fan of his just like Fireball, which is a bit more.
He just launched that label.
Yeah.
When we booked it was like 2011.
Yeah, and it's
I was
very
embarrassed, and I had to. Sorry, mate. It's like not usually like this, but how many promoters will say that?
Yeah, but it's good that you try new things, because you talked on the Finch one about getting Technical, Amber D, Ben Stevens, like sort of dipping out of and like. Am I right in thinking you were the first to book Whitby for bounce? Is that?
Yeah, we booked Andy Whitby first.
Yeah.
When he was, I mean,
Frantic,
it was a
wasn't
big, it was a name. Obviously, he wasn't as big as he got. I think I tell you who was trying to book originally. It was Kim Ayres.
Yeah, right.
Who obviously produced the More and More tune, which is a massive Sanctuary anthem.
Yeah.
So I got in touch with her agent, but she worked as cabin crew, trolley dolly.
Right.
So she was unavailable, and that's when they recommended Amber D. So we got Amber.
Yeah.
Playing Hard House, which it works, and then it was like, right, who's next? My mate Tony, he was always with the tidy lot. He used to go to the weekenders.
Yeah.
He said, you want to get this Andy Whitby? It's like a rising through the ranks. He
Yeah.
was a name, but wasn't as far as he got. So we booked him, and that went down. That went down well.
Yeah.
And I think that introduced him to the bounce circle. Other people booked. I think he did Frequency after that.
Yeah.
I booked him a few times, and then I booked Callie. They used to be together, Callie Gage. I booked her before him for the Syndicate, and I was stood with him because he came with her, and he said, "Oh fucking hell, I should be in here with you lot." But then I booked him later on for the 90th birthday, Sanctuary 90th birthday.
Yeah.
With Andy Farley. Obviously, he's a massive legend in the
Yeah.
hard house scene. But Whitby had another booking in the North East, so his agent said, "Can you play early? We can only fit it in if he plays early." So he
Right.
played as the people were still coming in, but then by the time Andy Farley got on, it was a lot busier.
Right.
But in the meantime, his booking had got cancelled and he could have played later.
Oh.
But that was one of the last events at the Syndicate. It wasn't really at the peak time, because when we went into the Syndicate, we started off as a more commercial route with Ultra Beat, just to get our foot in the door, make sure we knew what we were doing. And then it was when Spanish was really popular. We've been getting the guests from Spain to DNA. And then we went back to Spanish. I think it was the 6th birthday when we first booked Miguel Serna.
Yeah.
And Miguel Serna Real Soto, and he rang me. I'm so sorry, I've forgot my passport. I just thought he was lying. He said, but if you can get us back as soon as possible, we'll come. Which they did in September, and it was amazing. I had them so many times.
Yeah.
Felt like a bit pointless having the same guest, but they were so good, and people liked it at the time.
Yeah. They've got the name Miguel Serna and the thing. They've got a pull as well, an attraction, because people who like what they do will travel to see that. Do you know what I mean? They've got a genuine following.
I don't think it's as
Prominent.
I mean, people will still like Miguel Serna,
Yeah.
but it's people who like it don't go out.
I know what you mean.
Like a lot of the people who, like old school heads, old cricketer people, they'll sing the praises of DJ Desire till all day long. But if we actually got him in a club to play, they
How
won't
many
come.
would yeah, exactly. So back for part 2 of the podcast. This is questions. If you want to ask questions for the podcast, I never pre-announce the guest, which, yeah, you can't ask the questions direct, I suppose, but I don't want to let anyone down, say so-and-so's coming on and then they don't come on. So if you've got any questions for it, just message me on Instagram at itstimetoriffresh, and I will ask questions that that is sent in. So for instance, we have had a hardcore DJ on a couple of weeks ago, and all the people within hardcore had written, I filtered out the questions, put it in, makes sense. So we've got an MC/promoter on here, got some questions that people wrote in, we'll go from there. So hi Brad, is there anyone in the club scene now who you think doesn't get an opportunity to be a DJ or an MC? And that's from Jordan. So is there anyone who you think, we touched on it before, that Blister you said,
Blister, yeah.
who doesn't get an opportunity? Personally, I don't think there's nobody who's not getting any appreciation at the minute, because there's that many bounce nights. It's the market's oversaturated. Everyone can get a slot somewhere. Whether you're a main room slot, people who deserve it, there is people out there, but the cream rises to the top, so to say.
Yeah.
Like, there's nobody who's genuinely talented who's still playing room 2 gigs 10 years in, my opinion. Is there anybody who stands out for you? If there's no one at the moment, you can just say.
I'm trying to think. don't know.
Yeah.
You should have asked me before. So
I should have asked you pre-thing. Here's something I'd adapt on. There's names now that's popping up within the club scene as a whole who I think they'd go down as a good headliner in an event. They're not necessarily bounce DJs, but their style's so close. It would work. As you say, like a Patrick Topping, someone like that. Ben Nicky. I know that they are big DJs, but if some bounce promoter are just willing to just put in and just try it.
I emailed Ben Nicky's agent
Right.
About a year ago.
Okay.
And I got a reply, and he was basically asking for my life story, and I just didn't have time to reply properly. I mean, I get seen as ignorant for not replying straight away, but if someone needs an answer, I want to give them a proper answer.
Yeah.
And not a yes and no, and you know, and it's not just like people within the club scene and what have you. Just everybody
in general, yeah.
I do try and get back to people, but if someone asks me for their opinion on something and you can't give your proper opinion at that time, I'd rather give the proper opinion.
Yeah.
And not just, oh yeah, it's alright. And no feedback.
Yeah,
If someone come across and say, oh, I've done this mix, can you have a listen to me? I'd appreciate your feedback. If I just went back and said, yeah, it sounds good,
you'd be like, oh, no.
He's not listening to that. Do you know, and bear in mind as well, I've got 4 Facebook accounts, so the messenger isn't always on that account. So
makes sense, yeah.
I can sometimes go back to about 4 different question marks. I mean, me and Duffy, it's been a bit of a joke for years. I mean, I've not spoken to him for a while, that's no story, but I brought it once and said, listen, please don't send me these question marks, it drives me fucking mad. But because we were mates, it was just a joke.
Yeah.
Because I think his reply was something like, well, you replied, didn't you? So he knows he gets me to reply because if you've not read the message and then send another question mark, it's like road rage.
Yeah.
It sends me mad.
The thing is though, as a promoter as well, you're always getting DJs onto you. Like, I can imagine that your inbox is quite busy, especially with people you don't necessarily know. So it's filtering through the messages as well. Like, as a promoter, I was running several club nights. I can imagine you've got old school DJs messaging like their sets, bounce DJs messaging their sets, MCs, like, and then there's the actual general admin of like running a night, talking to club promoters, like talking to clubs, sorting out sound systems. Like there's just so much correspondence that it might take a little bit of a while. Whereas some DJs might just be like, they might have the odd person message them and stuff like that. Do you know what I mean?
There's been quite a few people who will send me a link to a tune on YouTube or a CD on YouTube. What's the tune at such a minute? It's like, if I fucking load up YouTube, play it, scroll to it. So, although I would like to, if I knew the tune, let them know what it is. But also, I don't want to be embarrassed that I don't want to know. I don't know it.
Yeah.
Do you know what? There's this same tune that loads of people ask me about, and I don't know what it is. I'm just like, it's a Storm Tracks or something.
Right.
Mitsubishi playing it at the Crick. And I've been asked that for about 3 different people, and I can never remember what it is. It just come to mind, and it's Storm Tracks.
Right. Well, there you go. Any of them people who's messaging, there's your answer. You don't even need a reply message.
You might not be right, that's all. Don't quote me on it.
Yeah. So next one is, hi pal. These podcasts are class. My question is, do you find it hard to stay relevant? And that's from Callum. Do you find it hard to stay relevant?
Well, I just feel like I am who I am. I've got my style, and when my style isn't appreciated, then there's no need for me anymore. Yeah. And I've had this mix planned for 5 years now. I was doing a mix for my 20 years Efeeze thing. Yeah. But I've just not found time to do it. I actually recorded the mix at Roach's studio, and he lost the file and it stepped me back massively.
Yeah.
Because then he closed the studio. I wanted it done properly. I didn't want to do it in my garage when I've got off the volume down. I wanted a proper clear so I can mix it properly.
Yeah.
Mixed by me with MCing over the top.
Right.
New lyrics. I've got loads of new lyrics that I've never said anywhere. Because I wanted them on this new mix. So
Right.
this is like nearly 5 years old now. So I've said to myself I'm getting it done in January.
Okay.
I was talking to Josh Lomax, Easy, MC Easy. And he said, don't try and do what we do, or the new lot do. Just stick to your own. That's what everyone likes about you.
Yeah.
And it meant a lot to me. Because I mean that's what I do anyway. I don't want to be. I didn't get into MCing to do what the new guys do.
Yeah.
Like, I've just listened to Price's new mix today, and I can't remember fucking my own lyrics I've done 20 years ago, and he's done all that in like half an hour. Mind blowing. Stuff that a lot of, I mean, especially Pricey.
Mm-hmm.
But others like, I mean, Finchy and Grimesy are one of the first who was doing the longer lyrics.
Yeah.
And Jordan, and then it seems like all the new kids are doing it these days. But that's not what I'm about. I got in it for the crowd hype and little catchy lyrics. I'm not interested. And not that I'm not interested. I'm not interested, but I don't think I could do it anyway. So I could probably write. I've no doubt about that. Fitting the time in to write it is a different matter. But it's just not for me. It's not because it's not the tunes that I got into it for.
Yeah.
So my style was based around Italian. And all the bounce, and you know the layout of bounce tunes, and you've got your vocal, your raps and your gaps and all of that, so you can't do all these. So like these days people are getting Joe G to make them a tune to do, so purpose made tunes but raps. I mean this is an argument I have with Pricey all the time. I've got a lot of time for Pricey. He never listens to a word I say, but I have got time for him. He's a talented lad, he just needs a bit of direction. Those tunes don't work in a club constantly.
Yeah.
So you need to play vocals. You can't do all this MCing over vocals. So he'll argue all day long and I'll never change his mind. It's good that he's standing his ground. It's good quality not to be talked around, but I'm right.
I understand what you mean. Like, I think we touched on it on his podcast that we done. Basically, like studio CDs go down really well. It's like it's very. Like,
this is another thing that I say.
Yeah.
They're very good for boosting your profile.
Mm-hmm.
Like Finchy's stuff, he's done videos and different mixes.
Mm-hmm.
It's very rare that he'll do it in a club because he knows that you don't do it on stage, or there aren't a lot of occasions to do it on stage. Same with Jordan. Jordan tours the UK with Ian Redmond, and it's all about hyping the crowd.
Yeah.
But he can go into the studio and write a 10-minute mix as good as anybody.
Yeah. The thing with Jordan, I've never seen him do the Ian Redmond Ultra Beat thing live, so I can't comment. But you can almost imagine what it's like him just hyping people up on the build-ups, letting the drops breathe, letting the vocals thing. But then he could come to a Sanctuary night, and let's just say you've got someone like Nicky B on, right, who's playing the tougher stuff. He could go and spit like 64 bars. Not
just like a duck to water.
Yeah.
If he hadn't done any proper bounce gigs for months, he could just walk into it and just come to him naturally. He's a very talented guy.
So that being said, I think that some people need to be adaptable. Pricey, I've talked to him and I've told him, I've said I really rate him for what he does. I think his studio CDs they sound class. He can do these big long rhymes and stuff. But you've just got to learn that edge. Like, I think Easy had to do it. Easy's lyrics, and I've said this on the podcast before, Easy was one of them MCs where he was bar, when he was doing like the Dose Donk stuff. And over the years, he's learned to get a stage presence. And now...
He's like the... he's one of the exceptions for the entering the top tier.
Yeah.
Because for a long time, no one got there.
Mm-hmm.
Lukey P as well.
Yeah.
And for a long time, it's just like because everyone goes on, it's the same MCs, but it's the same MCs because they're the only people who can do it properly.
Yeah.
So, I'm not disrespecting anyone not in the top tier, but there's a time and a place for a certain thing, and there's a list of maybe 8 to 10 people who can MC in any situation.
Yeah, adapt to it.
You could put them on a stage in front of thousands and know what to do.
Yeah, you would call it like
and Easy and Luke P are the last ones in there, I'd say.
I wouldn't argue that either.
And I've got a recording from Sanctuary at Wigan Pier in 2011, and Easy's on that, and you would not recognise him. He's like definitely the most improved.
Yeah. That's alright. I said when I first heard him, I thought, wow, these lyrics, it was mind blowing how good he was, and I was like, this is good. But then, as I say, over the time when I first seen him in, because he did like this thing where he had a bit of a lull and then he came back. And when he came back, he was in, I think it was like 32 for Century, and he came on and he had a bit more about him.
Well, I've actually had that on in my car the other day.
Yeah.
So that's only
5 years old, isn't it?
Is it 5?
Yeah, 2017, I think.
It's 18,
Not really.
February 18,
Right.
so it's nearly 5 years.
Yeah.
Even that is so much different to he is now.
Yeah.
And you can see how much he's improved.
Yeah.
Because he's got his lyrics, but then you crowd interaction at the end of it or whatever you'd be saying, he didn't do that. So he all his lyrics, but better delivered than he used to.
Yeah.
Because he didn't used to be that good live, and he knows that himself. So I'm not like digging him out
I'm
and
not
saying
knocking
it.
him,
He
yeah,
knows
yeah.
that, but he's good that he stuck by it, put in the work, and he's got there, and he's one of the best in the game.
Yeah. But if he didn't adapt, I don't think he'd have reached that level. No. That's.
It's just accepting that you've got to do it.
Yeah. But as I say, now I think he's probably. I'm talking to an MC saying this, but I think he's my favourite MC just for the grind that he puts in to being an MC.
Yeah.
Like, all you need to do is see him now in 2022, seeing what he does. I think there's he's probably a lot of people's favourite MC now in the scene, and it's a big thing to say considering, as you say, that top 8 who's in there. Yeah. I think it goes to show that adaptation and growth as an artist as well, like, it pays off. Do you know what I mean?
Of course.
And this is the last question for today. Is so I only told one person that you were coming on, and it was one for Farrell, BCD or Dinky, and that's from a listener called John. That's just
this is a question that was on Finch's podcast.
Yeah.
And I said Dinky all the way.
Dinky all the way?
All the way. All the way to Sydney.
Personally, I'd go BCD, because obviously my style's a bit more vocal led, and that's more vocal, whereas as you say, Dinky's was a little bit tougher. Do you know what I mean? Like at the time, now I think it all sort of blends into one. We've all become like a scene that's almost them two labels sort of merged together.
Right. How many like outstanding test of time Dinkies are there compared to BCD? You reckon? Which outnumbers each other?
Oh, right, okay.
Because I can't even think of BCD, to be honest. But
right. Dinkies, to be fair, sound better now, because I feel like some of the production in the BCD stuff doesn't go well in today's day and age. Like in my head, I'm just thinking of some of the offbeat bass lines that if you played that in today's day and age, it probably wouldn't go down as well.
Shake It Up EP alone wipes the floor with BCD. Sorry. Don't get me wrong, there's some really good BCDs.
Yeah. But yeah, that's from a listener called John, and I wonder who that is. Yeah. I just want to get onto this as well while we're here. When speaking about Alex K and Dinky and stuff like that, the You Can't Touch Me thing, like a little segue into that there. But where did that come from?
Right. So when I started at the Cricketer, I got to know Wizard MC, and outside when the Cricket finished, he was doing Zone at Maxime's, and I started going to a few of the events with him.
Yeah.
And some of the guys he ended up in Bolton. So we were driving to Burnley when Zone was at the arena. He said, "Oh," because this is when I was starting off MCing and he was sort of trying to tutor me and what have you.
Yeah.
He said, "I've wrote you a lyric." And he said it. I said, "Well, why do you not say it?" He said, "It doesn't suit my style, it suits your style." So in the car was this other guy called Franny Phelps. He died a couple of years ago. He used to get on the mic at Maxine's with Wizard, and he said it as well on the mic, but I took it on board as my own because my tutor, the Wizard, had wrote me this lyrics. I was really proud of it. And I think I'll say it on a Meltdown tape from Churchill's in about 99 or 2000. So anyway, I was working for Foreplay at the Cricketer. I think we started in summer 2000 after we left the mill. And then Boxing Day, we had this big event on Boxing Day. It was the first time I'd ever met Layback. I'd never heard of any of his tapes or CDs or anything. So there's this new MC I'd heard a lot about. So I met him, and it was just me, him and Domino was on. So he's on the mic doing his thing, and then he says this, "You can't touch me because I'm electric." What the fuck? So it turns out Wizard had heard him say it on the tape and told me it was his.
Oh.
So at that point, I sort of shied away from saying it as much as I used to. I put it onto the Wigan Pay CD on the How Long tune. So that's how the Wigan Pay community started chanting it without me even being there. So it just become massive from there, and then I started doing it at the events. I got booked for PAs to do it, and it just went massive. It's actually originates from a Beastie Boys track.
Right.
So Jermaine Layback had got it from there, but he'd been saying it before he met me.
Did he ever pull you on it?
I spoke to him about it, and I told him about it. So technically it was his MC lyric.
Yeah.
I just come about it in a weird way. But even now, like, he knows that I've made it mine on the How Long tune. I wouldn't say it on any other tune.
Yeah.
People come up to me on near enough every event. "Oh, say that. So we've got to wait for the tune."
Yeah.
"Oh, just say it anyway." So, no.
Doesn't work. It's like
That's trademark to that.
Yeah.
So that's where it came from, and
That's brilliant. Like
but,
that is.
like my kids now, my kids chant it.
Oh.
Robin put a video on Facebook the other day. I ended up missing our flights to Paris. Video, the kids chant it in the back.
Right.
But the baby, Albie, he's not a baby, he's 3, but we called him the baby. So he just keeps changing the words now. And it's really funny, he's such a funny kid. But they both say it all the time, and it's funny, it's sweet.
It's class. It's good that you've got that there as well. Like there'll be one day, hopefully Bounty's still around when they're old enough. That's my dad. Like, do you know what I mean? Like it's a.
Well, I hope so. I don't know how many years are left. I'm looking at. I don't know.
I think you.
I don't know. Obviously, Bouncy's at a high, sort of. Not. The big events are big and good, which is positive. I mean, back at the last sort of recession when Bounce died, there wasn't big events. There was clubs, and clubs shut down. Clubs went quiet.
Yeah. So,
if it turns into an industry where there is only events, then so be it. But I'm at the moment I'm still privileged to be part of them. So I'll still push the clubs forward because that's where Sanctuary's from.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know if there's a rise coming or a fall. Or it's
a
hard
weird
to
one.
say.
It's very weird. Very weird
Like
time.
the whole cost of living bullshit that's going on. The majority of clubbers live with their mum and dad, so they're not bothered about bills.
Yeah, exactly.
So that's good. It's when it affects stuff like the fucking whatever kids pay for these days.
Yeah, the YouTube generation going through. So we'll just tie this up today, if that's alright, mate. We've got fucking covered so much ground. Like, it's only been 4 years since you last did a podcast, but like, there's so much happened so much not happened as well, like with COVID and
Well,
stuff.
weeks running up to knowing I was doing this, I was thinking about stuff I wanted to talk about and probably forgot about everything I wanted to talk about, but it's not a problem, we can come back.
Yeah, honestly, this is going to be a weekly thing, and I'm nowhere, like I've said on previous podcasts, I said I wouldn't do it if I didn't enjoy this. I enjoy getting to know people on a more personal level, and I'm enjoying doing this, so, and I don't think I'll stop till I get bored, and I don't think that's anytime soon. I've got big plans for this going into the next sort of 2 years, so I can almost guarantee.
Maybe if you get me and John together.
That's what I was going to say. That I'm going to promise people now that it will happen, because I've talked to John, and John said he reckons he hasn't got a story to tell, but that's bullshit, right? So
he could probably just sit there and tell you stories about me.
Yeah, but as I say,
being drunk and mopping up the mess.
but as I said, that I think it will happen at some point, whether we sometime down the line that I think you're both come on. I'd like to do like a Sanctuary special or something like that. But as I say, I've talked to John about coming on as well, and he says, like, I think just down to timing, and because I've had to twist his arm to tell him that he has got a story, because he's like, oh, there's people coming on who's got more of a story than me, and I'm like, yeah.
He's got nearly 21 years of Sanctuary.
Exactly.
Like I have.
Exactly.
He's got the times before Sanctuary, got the time before.
Yeah.
I mean, he was DJing at Foreplay, which where I got to know him better.
Yeah.
But he did other stuff before that. When his mum used to be the chair lady of the village club next door, WVC, where Top Gun started.
Yeah.
So you've not spoken about that.
No, I forgot about that. You covered this slightly on the Finchy episode, where you were saying that she was like the thing.
Oh yeah. So he was playing there on some Friday nights and stuff.
Yeah. So there's a story there, isn't there? So what is the distinctive difference between Sanctuary and like Top Gun, for instance?
Right. We wanted to start our own event.
Yeah.
It was a big move. I'd just left Foreplay in a bit of a not really fallout, but I was a bit ego driven in my move. It was just, don't want to go into it because they're all my friends. But I'd had enough of doing weekly all nighters.
Yeah.
I wanted to grow and it wasn't growing, so we wanted to start our own event. So obviously the best place to go was John's mum's club to try it out.
Yeah.
So I like the name Top Gun, but it was a name of the night at the Vic, which is next door to the Cricketer.
Right.
So I thought, well, we can use that for this trial night, because it's going to be full of mainly people from West Horton.
Yeah.
So we called it Top Gun, and it's like, right, this is a success, let's take it to the Cricketer. I thought, we can't take Top Gun to the Cricketer because
There's Top Gun
Top Gun's next door, or
Right.
it used to be before it shut down. So that's why we had to have a different name. If that other Top Gun wasn't running, we probably would be called Top Gun now.
Yeah, right. There's every day's a school day.
So you've Worsley Mains estate in Wigan. You had the Cricketer, which is an old cricket clubhouse converted into a club.
Yeah.
And then the Vic, I think it was either called the Victoria or Victory or something. That was another clubhouse of something else. I think that was a rugby club.
Yeah.
That had been converted into a club. I don't think that... I never went in, to be honest. But that was another after hours, everybody went, and that's where the likes of Layback, Joker, PMB, that's where they were.
Yeah.
And then we had Foreplay at the Cricketer.
Right.
But that shut down, and that's where we met, got involved with PMB, who then become part of Foreplay, and Layback and Joker and Nats and various others from there came as guests, but then Layback became more of a resident with us.
Yeah.
But because he's from Leeds, it was always hard to get to and from, because he wasn't driving at the time. And I think he just sort of retired for the first of about 10 times.
Yeah. Oh well, that's honestly, I just wondered it. That's why I wanted to ask you about it, because obviously I was like, is it because one's a different style, or?
No, we set out with the exact same style.
Yeah.
It was just the name, because we couldn't have the same name in there, because it was copying something that was so close.
Yeah, well there you go then. Top Gun, I like it. Quality. Like, I've always wondered that, and I just going in a roundabout way to ask you. I thought that was all it was.
I don't think many people have really ever asked.
But it makes sense now. You've said it, but beforehand I was like, is it just another brand? Is it just a way of doing something in a different style? Or I just didn't know.
So other than back to the old nights, Top Gun stays the original format, and it seems to be popular in Cumbria. So that's why we've done it in Cumbria. They've not really worked. I mean, the one at Bubbles was alright, but it's a small venue. People seem to ask for it, and then don't come. Like I mentioned before about the Desire fans, they want it on the internet. Do this, do that, and then they don't come out. So it's always hard. I'd like to do a good Top Gun night locally, maybe at Pure, but people don't know about it. Yeah,
just that original CD. That's how I think we all know it. Like everyone's had that recording at some point.
It's one of the best CDs ever produced.
It is. Right. Before we go, I've got 2 more questions for you, and also
looking forward to this one.
One more question before that. What's your favourite recording from you and everything you've recorded from Sanctuary, Cricketer, everything? What's the one?
Right. Without thinking too much, I really like the Easter 2001 at the Cricketer, which is a 4-player quadrillion thing.
Right.
The tunes are amazing. Andy Pendle and PMB. And I'd say my MC's good, but there's a lot of stuff copied.
Yeah.
I was still young and starting off. There's a lot of wizard stuff on it. Obviously, you start off copying a few things and then you move out of it. You
find your style.
You're never going to have any sort of legacy copying people.
Yeah.
So, but that is, I mean, it's got loads of people have good feedback on that. So there's that one. It's mostly for the music.
Right.
But if you feel the music, you can perform better. So there's that, and then there's one of the Club Classics 3 or something is another good one. I don't know, there's so many.
I think you've mentioned that before on social media, actually, the Club Classics one. If you want to know mine, right, is the Top Gun. I think that, for me, because of the variety in it, like, I remember hearing, like, just the Italian into, I don't know, it was a bit of hard house, and just, like, I just started going down these avenues of hard house music through that CD, or I started going through the avenues of looking up old Italian stuff through that CD. Like, that's just one of them CDs that's always been there. Sank Volume 2 Part 2. That is like, I think that must have got shared a lot around our area because...
Yeah, it's so good that.
Yeah.
It was mad because I used to go and see Wizard. He'd quit MCing. He was a family man and he wasn't interested in clubs because he wanted to stay straight and narrow, and he just had his son. And so I used to go around their house when his son Lewis was born. I used to go to their house and visit him and what have you. And I was trying to get him back into it, and he was just having none of it. And I said to him and his missus at the time, I said, I'll come and pick you up, come to the Cricket, do an hour, and then I'll bring you back. No temptation, no drinking, nothing else. Just, I'll bring you there back. We did it once for a 4-player night, and the CD from that, the tape from that, unbelievable. But then that was it again. And he was just, I'm not doing it, I don't want to do it. Thanks for the offer, but I'm not interested. So I carried on in contact with him, and he was stick to it. He was straight and everything, but we started Sanctuary, and I said, I've got this night started. I really want you there. He said, no, I'm not doing it. No, thank you. So the third night, which is Volume 2, he rang me up. Where are you? I'm in Wigan. So I'm at the Cricketer.
Right.
He come down with loads of guys, and it's like he'd not done it for so long, but you could tell he was so up for it. He fell out of his missus, so he come out. And then the one after, Volume 3, she came. So it's like, right, you can make some money from this. I was happy to pay him, be the resident.
Right, I'm going to ask one more question and then we're done. I ask everyone this, and it's you're about to get the electric chair because Oh, this could be the only chance I could say it, so I'm going to say it. You can't touch me.
To the Chinese question.
No, you're going to get it, right? So, you're going to get the electric chair, because of you can't touch me, you get like, I don't know, I just fucking made that off the top of my head, but you got one last meal. What's it going to be? What you're getting off of your last meal? You can have a starter, main, dessert, you can have any beverage you want. I asked everyone this, what you're getting.
Chinese.
You can have Chinese.
Is this the Chinese question? I'm looking forward to that.
Go on then, you go. What if it's
Right,
Chinese?
so we're going to get a Chinese, and the list is endless.
Right.
But we'll get. I have to ask her because she orders it. We'll get ribs.
Right. What sauce? Barbecue.
Barbecue.
Right. Okay.
Barbecue ribs. Salt and pepper wings.
Yeah.
Salt and pepper chips.
Yeah.
Quarter duck.
Yeah. You don't need to worry about your weight because you're going anyway. But go on.
Just gonna stretch out the death a bit. Eating more food. This red chicken stuff that she gets. I don't know.
Is it chicken in Peking sauce?
Yeah, that's one. And then I get beef and black bean as my main, without a shadow of doubt.
Just order the menu there.
That's what we got on Friday. Actually, we got Chinese on Friday.
Right.
And I said I'm going to remember this for coming on Sunday.
Right. Yeah. You're gonna have a banana for it to finish off as well. You may as well.
I always have that much. I never eat my beef till the next day because I've had too much.
There is quite a lot on that order there. Like.
Because usually we would have a Chinese or some sort of take on a Sunday. So that usually sorts my lunch out for Monday at work, so I don't have to do anything Sunday night.
Class.
It's a good plan.
Good plan. Honestly, I'm not just saying it now. Of everyone I've had on in 29 episodes, that's probably the best response I've had. Like, maybe because I love
I've been waiting to do it and I've been prepared for the Chinese sort.
Everyone's always like, oh, I'll have a steak or I'll have whatever, and I'm just like, that sounds nice. But then when you've just rhymed off all that, I was just like,
oh. You want to get home for a Chinese?
Well, no, actually, no. I think I got a missus now. She's out shopping, doing Christmas shopping. So she's in Charlie now with my little lad.
Oh, there's not much in Charlie.
No, but well,
should have gone to Preston or Trafford Centre.
Yeah. So we're gonna go and get some Chinese food. We've gone to a restaurant. We've already pre-planned everything out. So yeah.
Good times.
I just want to say thanks for coming on, mate.
Thanks for having me. Sorry it took too long. It took so long to get on.
I know. It's but honestly, it's been an absolute blast. Thanks everyone for tuning in, and if you made it this far into the episode, just want to say thank you and share it with your mates. It helps the community grow, and it helps people get the stories out as well. Like, people enjoy listening to these, but sometimes they don't know they exist. So yeah, thanks for listening. It's been amazing. Cheers, mate.